Has the silent depression already started in the United States? Michael Snyder reports. The Biden administration and the corporate media are telling us over and over again that the economy is just fine, but the term silent depression has been going viral on TikTok. Housing, vehicles, food, and just about everything else that we spend money on is far more unaffordable today than it was during the Great Depression of the 1930s. A realtor in Florida named Freddie Smith posted a video on TikTok with some absolutely startling numbers about the cost of living in the United States today, and that is what started the silent depression trend. TikTok user Freddie Smith, a realtor based in Orlando, posted a video in September claiming that the U.S. economy is in what he calls a silent depression. In the video, which has amassed nearly 800,000 likes, Smith compares the average 2023 salary and basic costs to those of the Great Depression to highlight the growing cost of living crisis in the country. If you look back to the Great Depression, the house was only 3 times the average salary. Now it's 8 times the average salary, Smith said. The car was 46% of the salary. The car today is 85% of the salary. And here's the craziest part. The rent was 16% of average salary. Now it's 42% of the average salary. Of course, he's right on target. There is a reason why 62% of the country is currently living paycheck to paycheck. The cost of living has become incredibly oppressive for most Americans, and nobody can deny that reality. When Whoopi Goldberg declared that millennials just need to work harder during one of her rants, Smith followed up with another video about the rising cost of living. Many Americans are working as hard as they can, but they just keep falling farther and farther behind. But we are not supposed to talk about what is happening. We're just supposed to pretend that everything is just wonderful. And now the corporate media has been putting out lots of articles attempting to debunk Smith's videos. Here's one example. But economists strongly disagree. Any notion from TikTok that life was better in 1923 than it is now is divorced from reality, said Columbia Business School economics professor Brett House. So what is the truth? Are we in a silent depression or not? Let's take a look at 3 key areas. If honest numbers were being used, they would show that GDP growth has been negative for almost the entire time that Joe Biden has been in the White House, and that would indicate that we are at least experiencing a recession. And if honest numbers were being used, they would show that the unemployment rate in this country is sitting at about 25% right now. Needless to say, that is absolutely horrible. And if the rate of inflation was still calculated the way it was back in 1980, it would still be in double-digit territory, even though it has come down a bit. The official numbers that the government gives us are designed to make us feel good about things, but at this point things are so bad that the charade is falling apart. It certainly feels like a silent depression if you just got laid off from your job, and it certainly feels like a silent depression if you cannot pay your bills. Millions of Americans strapped with student loan debt are still not paying their bills after a 3-year payment hiatus ended this fall. Federal student loan payments restarted at the beginning of October after President Biden declined to extend the pandemic-era pause that first began in March 2020 under his predecessor, former President Donald Trump. However, 40% of the 22 million borrowers who had bills due failed to make a payment as of mid-November, according to a new report published by the Department of Education. And that means about 9 million Americans who have payments due are not making them. And it certainly feels like a silent depression if you cannot sell your home. Home sales in California plunged to the lowest level in 15 years in November, according to the latest data shared by the California Association of Realtors, CAR. According to a report released on Tuesday, existing single-family home sales were down 7.4% last month compared to October, and down 5.8% from November 2022, totaling 223,940. It was the biggest monthly decline in the past year, which plunged existing home sales in California to the lowest level since the Great Recession of 2008-2009. And it certainly feels like a silent depression if you're living in the streets. Homelessness has shot up by more than 12% this year, reaching 653,104 people. The numbers represent the sharpest increase and largest unhoused population since the federal government began tallying totals in 2007, the U.S. Department of Urban Planning and Development said on Friday. If the economy is in good shape, why are Americans becoming homeless at the fastest pace ever recorded? That does not make any sense at all. But those at the top of the economic food chain simply do not understand what all the fuss is about. Today, Americans aged 70 and older now hold more than 30% of the nation's wealth. For the moment, life is good for the elite, and they think that the rest of us just need to work harder. Of course, they should not be looking down their noses at the rest of us, because hard times are coming for them as well. The silent depression that has already started is hitting those at the bottom of the economic food chain the hardest, but those at the very top will soon be feeling it as well. This is by Michael Snyder, and he says about the author, my name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled Chaos is now available on paperback and Kindle on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 7 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I've also started a brand new Substack newsletter, and I encourage you to subscribe so that you won't miss any of my articles. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the Most Important News, and the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter. And any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. This is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.